Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another episode of my director collections. Seeing as Criterion just announced a massive Wes Anderson box set slash brick, full of all of his feature films and books. I think there's like 10 books in it as well. It probably weighs close to a metric ton. I thought I would go through my Wes Anderson collection. Now, Wes Anderson's a funny little chap. He is fairly unique. He creates his own universes, because let's be honest, the real universe isn't that much fun. He has kind of Richard Lester type casts of just everybody who happens to be walking by gets a role in his film. He has a kind of hardcore repertory company. His films, I know people kind of knock him for being kind of all style and no substance perhaps, and just being kind of surface level. But I think most of his films, if not all his films, are about dysfunctional families and trying to fix families that are dysfunctional, if you like. So there's definitely a throughput of the family and wanting to have a working family. Now, most of these I have on individual Criterions. I won't be buying the massive brick. What's that? Bigger than a brick, it's more a concrete block. But again, if you don't have any Wes Andersons and you have a few bucks to throw around, then that's, I suppose, the best time to get into Wes Anderson is to buy a massive box set. So I'm just going to go through them in no particular order of the Wes Anderson films I have in physical media. So we have Criterion Collection Spine number 157, the Royal Tenenbaums from 2001. Criterion always do a nice job of the artwork for Wes Anderson. This is from 2001, and I think this was kind of his first big film, if you like, kind of step up from the smaller little films. This is the one with certainly the biggest cast to this point. Not one of my favourites, but still very good. I mean, he even gave like Gwyneth Paltrow jobs. That's crazy. I find Wes Anderson quite difficult to kind of rate as well. It's just kind of, sometimes it's just what mood you're in is your favourite, or whichever one you watch last is your favourite. Sign number 300 is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. This is one of my favourites, especially the ending. For some reason, the ending, the kind of credit sequence at the end, I find quite moving for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. Obviously, if you are averse to Bill Murray, then you're probably not going to be a Wes Anderson fan, because Bill Murray is in a lot of his films, as is Willem Dafoe. Tilda Swinton has now kind of become a regular as well. I mean, even Cate Blanchett's in this. Obviously, I skipped through the parts with Cate Blanchett. I'm joking, of course. Or am I? There's a nice picture of the boat. Yeah, I kind of do love The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. This one is always kind of at the bottom of people's piles, but I kind of enjoyed it. 540 is the Darjeeling Limited even. Again, Adrian Brody's been in a few of his films. Obviously he's got a new one out with Benicio del Toro, almost said Guillermo del Toro, Benicio del Toro, Bedardien Limited, Owen Wilson, who again appears in quite a lot of his films. He was back in the day, the Wilson brothers. I'm not a huge fan of Owen Wilson, not actually sure anybody is. Jason Schwartzman, Angelica Houston is in this, and she's in a couple as well. Again, love the kind of art style of the Criterion Wes Anderson films. I mean, you could argue, well, obviously Criterion do have their kind of seemingly favoured directors. You could argue there's a lot greater directors that could do like the entire catalogue in Criterion, but you know, they can't do everything. And this is number 65, and this is Rushmore even, again with Jason Schwartzman. This is from 1998, and again, lovely art style. Again, not one of my favourites, but still like a 4-star film, but it's just not one of my favourites. But again, this is spy number 776. So this is Moonrise Kingdom. Again, a bit of a different art style with this flippy sheet, which I'm not a huge fan of. But again, the digipack has all the characters, and again, by this time, Anderson was in full, lots of characters and lots of actors. You could argue that Moonrise Kingdom from 2012 was Bruce Willis's last really good performance. And then randomly, one of my dad's favourite films, this is spy number 700. This is the Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is the Region A Blu-ray set, which again just has a wonderful art style. This is actually the 3-disc edition. Again, this is just beautiful animation. Again, this is from 2009, if I can get it back in the box, which I'm failing to do. Then arguably my favourite, the Grand Budapest Hotel from 2014. Again, with the bit of paper at the back, which again, I'm not a huge fan of these digipacks. But again, wonderful artwork. And again, you get booklets and all manner of things. This is just an absolutely wonderful film. The elegance, one of Ray Fiennes' finest performances, along with Harvey Keitel, Jeff Goldblum's in this as well. Yeah, this is wonderful. Spy number 1025. This is probably my least favourite, controversially. Spy number 450. This is Bottle Rocket, his debut, from 1996. You also get the short film, it was expanded into this. I mean, it's a fine debut, but again, it's maybe too much Owen and Luke Wilson for me. But it's still a good little film. As I said, a fine debut, but obviously for me it would probably be bottom of the pile, close to the bottom of the pile. And then this is the one that's not on Criterion Collection. Well, there's a couple others, but at the time it was released, it was only one not on Criterion, but obviously it is included in the box set. It's Isle of Dogs, really underrated. Beautiful animation style again, like Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I do love the fact it's set in Japan, because I have a thing about Japan, in case you hadn't noticed. Yeah, this is really underrated. Nobody really mentions it that much. It's kind of been forgotten about, but if you haven't watched it for a while, or you haven't even watched it at all, I would highly recommend it. And then probably my second least favourite is Asteroid City. This is a nice little hard box edition. This feels a bit rushed. It almost feels like somebody trying to do a Wes Anderson film, even though it was Wes Anderson. It came out very quickly after the next and last film I'm going to show, and it does feel kind of rushed and almost not a parody of a Wes Anderson film, but it certainly feels like somebody trying to do a Wes Anderson film. But again, ridiculous casts: Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liev Schreiber, Rupert Friend's in it, Steve Carell, Jeff Goldblum again, Margaret Robbie, Willem Dafoe again, Matt Dillon. Again, still a good film, but well off the pace of Wes Anderson's best work. I do think this one is amongst his best work, and this is The French Dispatch. Again, this came out and then Asteroid City came out not that long after it. Yeah, this is wonderful. I think this is one of his best. Again, this previously wasn't available in Criterion, but it is in the massive box set that's coming out. This is just absolutely wonderful. Again, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, Jeffrey Wright, Adrian Brody, Benicio del Toro, who joined the gang, and of course he's now starring in the new one. Owen Wilson, unfortunately, is still hanging on. Timothée Chalamet, who again I'm not a huge fan of. Léa Seydoux, who I'm a huge fan of. And a host of others. This is an absolute joy. I think it's probably his best one since the Grand Budapest Hotel. I'd highly recommend it, even though it's not that widely available. So that's my Wes Anderson collection. Obviously I've probably forgotten one, as I tend to do with these videos. But again, if you've never seen any Wes Anderson and you have some spare cash about, then obviously the massive Wes Anderson coffin that's coming from Criterion is probably a good place to start. Yeah, is he one of the greatest filmmakers of all time? Probably not. Is he one of the best in the 21st century? Absolutely. There's a lot of pleasure to be had from this colourful little chap and his colourful little films. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know how much Wes Anderson you can take or you have, and hopefully you'll join me again for more episodes of my director's collections. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying farewell